My typical day, I don't rise as early as I used to when I worked, but usually by about 7:30 or 8 I'm up. I go out a fair bit because I still have active interests in the church and the family and the Gilbert Sullivan Society and functions at the old school and all sorts of things. So I go out quite a bit, but if I'm not going out, I'll probably read. I don't watch television much. I watch it more than I used to because I'm on my own. But if it wasn't for sport and news, I could do without the TV set, I think. And I write poetry. I've got books of poetry I've written. And sometimes if the spark from heaven falls, I'll knock off another poem of some sort.
I have just turned 100. You've got to be fit to turn 100, I've discovered. There's a lot of partying, occasional day when there's one small glass of wine is exceeded. Well, I aim for 2 mornings a week, and throughout the year I'm lucky to have this marvellous pool practically on my doorstep, and it's no great effort. I've been doing that now since I retired, which was a long time ago.
Well, I'm a retired consultant physician, and I worked up to the age of about 82. I was 35 years here at Royal Perth. Well, I love the garden. I spend a lot of time in the garden. I've a lot of birds visiting. I've got 3 galahs named Josh, Prosh and Tosh, but they scream until they're fed. So the garden takes up a fair bit of time in spring now, and it's just glorious. I'm actually 5 years younger immediately.
The research idea started as a randomised trial of looking at whether men who had their aortas looked at by an ultrasound, whether that could predict those men who were likely to need surgery for aortic aneurysms, and that they could be operated on a bit earlier than they would in routine care.
They were keen to find out by screening for aortic aneurysms if they could reduce mortality associated with the disease. So that's how the whole process started. I joined the team in 2001, which was for the second wave of HIMSS, and have been helping out with the project since then. And the project has evolved with time, so we started with aortic aneurysms, but then evolved to look at various issues related to the health of older men.
And to look at that sort of study, there needed to be quite a lot of men. About 20,000 men per group were randomised back in the mid-90s. So that's where the Healthy Men study started. And then what happened was that we had an awful lot of men who had filled in a questionnaire, and we realised that it would be really important to see what happened to the men over time.
It was picked out some time or another, about 20 years ago. I then had my first interview, an examination at Shenton Park, and I've learnt quite a bit over the various years, the various interviews, but I could commend it to anyone who's given the opportunity to take part in a medical research program. Join it, because it can be of considerable benefit and usefulness to you, apart from helping the research.
Well, I join everything. I'm a chronic joiner. One of my philosophies in life has been never refuse a request, because you never know where it's going to lead. Even if it involves a lot of extra work or something like that, you've got to be a bit discriminating, but by and large, if someone asks me to join, I join.
I'm not good at saying no. I didn't do it for any... I think I probably got talked into it by some nice-looking girl or something, and that's it, you know. Yeah.
The Healthy Men study is the largest as well as the longest running study of older men in Australia and probably in the world. We also have the advantage here in Western Australia of having something called a data linkage system, so we can follow people up. We know what's happening with their health outcomes when they get in touch with the hospital, the type of conditions that led them to go to the hospital. And all of that enables us to find out what is happening with our participants over time. So we have a very rich data set. Through the participation of our men, we have been able to address many important questions for the health of older men, and that will certainly help the Australian population hopefully age better.
Over the years, there have been so many different findings in so many different areas. It's been looking at the determinants of health and also of well-being in numerous areas. And we've been looking at hormone balance, diabetes, testosterone, mental health. We've been looking at successful ageing, we've been looking at frailty. There have been so many different areas where this study has made a major contribution.
One of the things that we did find that came out of the Healthy Men study, and then subsequently we ran a trial to find out if physical activity could change the health outcomes of people as they were getting older. And I confess that I was very surprised to see that people who have some mild cognitive impairment as they get older, if they can exercise on a regular basis, that actually improves their memories over time. In fact, that was the hypothesis of our study, but I confess that I was surprised to find a significant effect of the intervention when we're talking about something that everybody can do, that has no potential side effects, such as physical activity. In fact, that was the first study that was able to show that worldwide, and since then other studies in other parts of the world have replicated our results, suggesting that what we found was true.
Before the study, I would have thought that physical activity was not necessarily all that important, but I now realise that at every age that physical activity is so important, and it's something that you can adopt at any age. And the other thing that I've realised from the study is that even a small increase has important benefits.
You've got to be very fortunate in the handful of genes that you inherit from your mother and father, but I think common sense, particularly as you get older, and one of the earliest medical principles, going back now, nearly 2,000 years, there was a Greek physician who wrote what was known as the first medical book, and he said that the whole secret of old age was employment. Modern translators would say the Greek word that he was translating as employment nowadays would be translated as mental and physical activity. You must maintain that all your life.
But if you've got interests in things and are active in things, well, I think my experience as you keep going. I know some people don't have the good fortune I've had, and I'm thankful for that, but your health, your body is controlled a great deal by what your head's doing. And I think if you have an interest in different things, singing or speaking or going on holidays or whatever, if playing bowls, or there are lots of things in the village going on which I take part in. And I think if you keep interested in things, your body will just keep up with it. So I think it is important to keep active, yeah.
And since I retired, once a week, almost religiously, I've invited someone to coffee whom I've admired or respected, but never had time to talk to. And so it's been politicians, academics, and so on. I've learned a lot.
There's several very good memories. I mean, being in contact with the men themselves was a great experience. Seeing them over time and getting to know them a little bit better, their issues, and developing a relationship with them has been probably the most rewarding aspect of the program itself. I
think actually meeting some of the men was really informative to me, and also very illuminating and also positive. Having seen the data from all the men for so many years, it's really fantastic when you actually meet some of the older men who are really, really doing well, and realise how much they've contributed over the years with such good grace. They've really been positive about the study. They've really been very keen to share their findings with other people. They've been really wanting to help everyone, that these older men are not only doing something for themselves, but they're contributing for everybody, and they really do appreciate that. And I've really been very fond of that when I've met the men. Right now, we're probably about the largest study of 90-year-old men in the world. So we're really breaking new ground. It's very hard to actually find things that predict advanced longevity, and particularly in older men, because there's so many more older women. And here we are, we've got this large group of older men we've been following for 20 years, and now they're getting into their 90s and 100s. And it's really an exciting period to see what's happening.
I truly believe that gratitude and selflessness are the main ingredients of forefending aging. Because if you're grateful for everything that's happened to you, if you wake up in the morning and just think, oh, look, I'm alive and the sun's shining, or it's raining or whatever, and if you think, I really don't count in the scheme of things except as a presence, then you've got a fair stake in living. But if you've got the poor me syndrome, it's awful getting old, oh, I really hate getting old and so on, then that's a dangerous frame of mind.
It's the secret of long life.
Okay. Oh, I need to listen.
Eat some food when you are hungry. Have a drink when you are dry. Close your eyes when you are sleepy. Don't stop breathing or you'll die. That's it.